These first houses will be move-in ready by summer.
It's so much bigger. We're in a tiny little bedroom right now.
Yeah, it looks really good. Yeah, this looks awesome.
Shelby and Ryan Bixler are both quality control inspectors at Cook, and to come here, they just sold another house, an old one out in the country that needed lots of updating.
There just wasn't much on the marketplace, and so we had to just grab what there was.
They thought twice about trading the country for a subdivision with houses so close, but decided it made sense.
Living right next to people I think will be fun, especially as our daughter is able to start playing with friends and neighbor friends and having people over.
And they already know and like one neighbor, Tommy Jones, right across the street. Back at her house, Jones says her things are already boxed up to go, and she's been buying wall decorations for months, planning where to put everything.
TV over there. Family pictures probably over here.
And she'll have a room ready for her niece and nephew to stay over. Jones dreams of the day she moves.
I can't wait till I come in. I'm going to lay down on the floor and just nap. Because it's mine and I can.
Then she'll cook a meal for the entire family, she says, in her very own kitchen. Jennifer Ludden, NPR News, Spencer, Indiana.
It's 6:50. Marketplace Morning Report is next, and then later on Morning Edition, floodwater in California has stirred up new deposits of gold in rivers and streams across the state. It's sparking what some are calling Gold Rush 2.0. Near 50 and cloudy out there. We have flood warnings along low-lying areas of the Passaic River in northern New Jersey, so be careful there. Today, mostly cloudy, showers likely, mainly this morning, highs in the upper 50s with a breeze. Near 50 at 6:51.
WNYC is supported by Audible Theater's Sorry for Your Loss, a new show from Michael Cruz Kane that tackles the pain of unexpected loss with unexpected comedy. Through June 4th only. Tickets and more at sorryforyourlossshow.com.
On the next Brian Lehrer Show, the growing influence of the New York City suburbs in local and national politics. It was largely our local burbs that gave Republicans their majority in Congress. Now they've killed Governor Hochul's hopes for more affordable housing and managed to get a tax hike to fund the whole MTA, but only for the big employers in the city. We'll hear from Newsday's Albany Bureau Chief Yancey Roy. That and more on The Brian Lehrer Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on WNYC.
That whole debt ceiling fight is about to heat up real quick.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Progressive Insurance. Customers can simplify their insurance needs and protect what's important by bundling home and auto. Learn more about bundling at Progressive.com. And by Otter.ai. Otter's AI meeting assistant automatically takes live meeting notes, captures slides, generates summaries, and assigns action items. More at Otter.ai.
From Marketplace, I'm Sabri Benishore in for David Brancaccio. Republican lawmakers and the White House are nowhere close to a deal over raising the country's debt ceiling. They have less than a month to figure it out. In a letter to congressional leaders, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said the federal government could run out of cash to meet its financial obligations as early as June 1st. By Washington standards, that is not a lot of time to avert what would be the country's first ever default on its debt. Marketplace's Nova Safo has more.
Republican lawmakers are nowhere close to a deal with the White House. They are insisting on cuts to federal spending in return for increasing the government's borrowing authority. Democrats say meeting the country's financial obligations is not negotiable. There was some wishful thinking that negotiations between the two sides could go on through much of the summer. But recent federal tax receipts have been less than expected. And Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen now says the new deadline is just weeks away. In her latest letter to Congress, she also outlined a new step. The Treasury Department is pausing issuing certain types of securities which help local and state governments deal with their finances. That pause could impose additional costs, especially for smaller local government entities. President Biden invited congressional leaders to the White House on May 9th to discuss the debt ceiling impasse. The stakes are high. Economists predict the U.S. debt default could cause a global financial crisis. I'm Novasafo for Marketplace.
J.P. Morgan Chase now owns First Republic Bank. It bought the failed bank from the FDIC, which had seized it over the weekend. As the new owner of First Republic, J.P. Morgan is now responsible for $91 billion in customer deposits, along with $173 billion in loans. A lot of those loans are what are called jumbo mortgages, basically mortgages for really expensive homes bought by First Republic's affluent clients. So what's going to happen to those clients and their loans? Marketplace's Mitchell Hartman reports.
At a former First Republic branch in Portland, Oregon yesterday, depositors could access their money just like usual, only now as customers of J.P. Morgan. But for borrowers with mortgages from First Republic,
it's probably not as seamless as that.
Guy Sakala at Inside Mortgage Finance says J.P. Morgan has a whole lot of paperwork to do, notifying borrowers it'll be servicing their mortgages and getting their monthly payments.
Frankly, there are always hiccups. Somebody forgets or they have automatic payment, so it's not as clean as just going to the bank and saying, great, my deposits are still here.
Now, mortgages are contracts, so J.P. Morgan can't arbitrarily hike the interest on a fixed-rate loan, for instance. Many of the jumbo home loans are well underwritten with big down payments, so Sakala says they aren't particularly risky. But Mike Mayo at Wells Fargo Securities says it's not the mortgages J.P. Morgan really wants.
The acquisition is really about the customers that they're getting for wealth management and other needs.
The FDIC says for now, anyone with a First Republic loan should keep sending their payments in as usual until notified otherwise. I'm Mitchell Hartman for Marketplace.
All right, let's do the numbers. The FTSE in London is up less than 0.1%. Dow and S&P futures are down about 0.2%, with the Dow future down 76 points. NASDAQ futures are flat. The 10-year Treasury yield is at 3.540%.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Amazon Business. From small business to big enterprise and everything in between, Amazon Business helps simplify the supplies buying process. Amazon Business, your partner for smart business buying. And by Palo Alto Networks. Palo Alto Networks delivers what's next in cybersecurity innovation to protect today's digital way of life. Learn more at paloaltonetworks.com.
For all you candy lovers, some sour news. The price of key ingredients, sugar and cocoa, are at their highest levels in about a decade, thanks to inflation and smaller crop yields, and manufacturers of sweets are struggling to cope. The BBC's Elizabeth Hodson recently returned from the world's biggest confectionery and snack trade show, ISM, in Cologne, Germany, and she filed this report for us.
Confectionery companies are paying much more for the two main ingredients in most candy, cocoa and sugar. Manufacturing costs have all gone up. Bill Gow is the finance director of Scottish company Thomas Tunnock Limited, which makes 14 million items a week, like snowballs and caramel wafers.
There's been a significant increase in all raw materials, an unprecedented level that I don't think anybody in our generation of business has seen.
The challenge is how to reduce costs but keep customers, especially when most of them are kids. Hayley Perrone is from Candy Dynamics in Indianapolis.
We want it to be affordable for kids. We want them to be able to not spend all of their allowance on our candy. We've increased prices, but it's been a very, very small amount.
So have they considered making the packs smaller?
We actually have started to do that, especially in the UK. There's been a big request for smaller pack sizes. It's at a lower price point.
At the premium end of the market, it's a different story. The Swiss chocolatier Goldken is most famous for its chocolate gold bullion bars and Jack Daniel's liqueur chocolates. Linda Gay, the company's export manager, says they had no choice but
to increase our prices, but they are ready to pay a bit more in order to get the product. For the packaging, we try to group, maybe to do bigger volume at the same time, then you can get smaller price.
But other companies are reluctant to change their product. Bill Gow, the finance director of Scottish company Thomas Tunnock Limited, is one of them.
We would never reduce the pack sizes. We would never reduce the quality of the products in any shape or form.
He says that although his raw material costs have increased by 40% in the last year, only a small proportion of that has been passed on to consumers. But with inflation remaining high and little sign of sugar and cocoa prices coming down anytime soon, companies are going to have to work hard to find solutions that satisfy them and the sweet tooth of their customers. In London, I'm the BBC's Elizabeth Hotson for Marketplace.
Our producers are James Graham, Ollie Dalbert-Hansen, Ariana Rosas, Alex Schroeder, and Erica Soderstrom. Our senior producer is Meredith Gerritsen-Morby. In New York, I'm Sabri Ben-Achour with the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.